Episode 11, Shattered Under His Rule. Standing before the small cupboard by the wall, Audrey felt detached from reality. Everything seemed surreal. She was Leslie Russell's secretary, yet already standing on the edge of being fired. The cruelest part wasn't the dismissal hovering over her head. It was that he didn't recognize her. The man who once took her on a date, who had spoken to her with warmth and startling tenderness, now looked at her like she was nothing, a stranger, disposable. And still, she had dared to walk back into his empire. The old Audrey would never have attempted something so reckless. She would have drowned in fear before even touching the door. But Leslie was not an ordinary man. He was dominance carved into flesh, a paragon of power, a ruler who bent rooms to his will. Since that night he took her out, something inside her had shifted. Her wardrobe sharpened, her thinking matured. Even her panic attacks, though not gone, had weakened under his influence. He had encouraged her, held her with a kind of affection she had never known from her own parents. He had once steadied her. Now he was the reason her pulse refused to calm. She exhaled shakily and opened the cupboard containing the coffee beans. She removed the beans, a large tin of creamer, a beautifully patterned mug, a saucer, a spoon, and a stainless steel jug. Relief flickered across her face when she noticed the jug already held hot water. At least she wouldn't have to search for it and risk wasting more time. Her hands trembled as she began brewing. She moved carefully, painfully aware of every motion. The spoon clinked against porcelain as she stirred. Then her gaze fell on the bold inscription printed across the mug. The best boss, Leslie Russell. The mug was custom-made. Of course it was. Everything about him was expensive, polished, precise. She placed the mug onto its saucer and arranged it on the small decorative tray. Steam rose in thick curls, carrying the rich scent of coffee into her lungs. Her heart pounded violently against her ribs. Here you go again. Unease surged from her stomach to her chest. Her palms grew damp. Her entire body trembled. She was about to walk into his office, to serve him. Pressing a hand to her chest, she tried to steady her breathing. Get it together, Audrey. She shut her eyes, attempting to calm herself, but the panic refused to loosen its grip. It's not gonna last forever, she whispered, repeating the words Leslie once told her during their date. The irony was suffocating. She lifted the tray. Well, it seems like it will. The voice came from behind her. Audrey jerked in shock. The tray tilted. The mug crashed to the marble floor, shattering. Coffee splashed across her white gown. Oh my God! Her hands flew to her lips as she spun around. Krishna Kali stood there, red hair cascading over her shoulders, dressed in a striking sleeveless crimson gown and glittering gold heels. She looked confident, comfortable, like she belonged in his world. Surprise, surprise, Krishna Kali said with a playful wink. Audrey's astonishment hardened into anger. Her glare dragged from Krishna Kali's hair down to her expensive dress. Look what you've made me do, Audrey snapped. But how did you get here? Krishna Kali asked lightly, gray eyes gleaming. Then she laughed softly. Oh, you're his new secretary, aren't you? Clever girl, I see how badly you want Leslie back. Ignoring her, Audrey quickly reopened the cupboard. 3 minutes. Just 3 fucking minutes. She prepared another cup, forcing herself to focus. But when Krishna Kali walked straight into Leslie's office without knocking, Audrey felt something tear inside her. Tears gathered despite her effort to suppress them. She inhaled sharply, trying to hold them back. They spilled anyway. Her chest burned, not just from humiliation, but from something far more painful. She finished the coffee and carried the tray into Leslie's office. What is this? Leslie growled the moment he saw her. His green eyes were cold, disdainful. Your coffee, sir, Audrey stuttered, her hands trembling beneath the tray. Krishna Kali chuckled softly behind her. Mackenzie instructed you on what to do, didn't she? Leslie barked. Yes, sir, she did. Oh, fuck. He slammed his palm against the desk with brutal force. The sound echoed through the room. He dragged his fingers through his hair, breathing hard. His eyes were bloodshot as he fixed her with a lethal glare. It took you forever to bring me the fucking coffee, and after all that waiting, you bring me this. Audrey couldn't understand what was wrong. It looked fine, smelled fine. Her body shook uncontrollably. Cold sweat formed along her forehead. Terror crawled down her spine. Without warning, Leslie snatched the mug from the tray. The scalding coffee splashed across her chest. She screamed. The burning liquid soaked through her gown, searing her skin. The pain was instant, merciless. Her hands trembled violently, the saucer clattering against the tray as tears streamed down her face. Leslie's jaw tightened. With savage force, he crushed the mug in his fist. Porcelain cracked and shattered in his grip. And then, he flung the broken pieces at her. The shards struck her shoulder, her arm, her collarbone. One jagged fragment sliced into her skin. Another grazed her cheek. Audrey cried out as sharp pain followed the burn. Thin lines of blood surfaced almost immediately, red against her pale skin and white gown. The tray slipped from her hands and crashed to the floor. You useless little fuck, Leslie snarled, stepping closer. His voice dropped low and deadly. Do you think I run a charity here? She could barely breathe. I gave you a simple fucking instruction, he continued, and you still managed to screw it up. Blood trickled down her arm, coffee stained her dress, her chest throbbed. He grabbed her chin roughly, forcing her to look at him. When I give an order, he said coldly, you execute. You don't hesitate, you don't panic, you don't make me wait. His grip tightened. This is my empire, my office, my fucking time. If you crumble under pressure, you don't belong anywhere near me. Krishnakali watched in silence. Audrey stood there, burned, cut, trembling, staring into the eyes of the man she once admired. And for the first time, she truly understood what it meant to stand beneath a ruthless mafia king. Episode 12, Broken Loyalty, Burning Fear. He hurled the shards at Audrey, and she screamed, pain shooting through her face as she lost her balance. The tray toppled to the floor, her hands instinctively flying to shield her eyes and forehead. Blood mingled with hot shards, and her trembling breath caught in her throat. Serves you right, Krishnakali sneered, rolling her eyes from the chair across from Leslie. Pick up this mess and get the hell out of my sight this instant, Leslie thundered, his deep voice a blade of pure rage. Get lost. Audrey bent swiftly, gathering the fragments, every movement trembling under his suffocating presence. Sharp, piercing pain burned across her forehead and eyes. Sweat streaked her cheeks as she clutched the tray, lifting each bloody shard with shaking hands. Finally, she staggered out, the tray heavy in her grasp, and closed the door behind her. Yield, Krishnakali scoffed. Look how she's messed up this place. Leslie's piercing gaze dropped to the fresh blood staining the floor. He turned away, resting his elbows on the sleek table, cupping his face in his large, commanding hands. Krishnakali couldn't stop staring. From the day she'd been in the hospital with him, she knew how ruthless he was. Courage alone had allowed her to endure his icy, authoritarian presence. He spoke rarely, and when he did, there was no warmth, no mercy. Yet here was Audrey, trembling at his fury, and something inside her clenched tight with curiosity and jealousy. That girl's so clumsy, Leslie, Krishnakali muttered. You don't drink coffee from any other mug but the one your employees gave you on your birthday. Leslie didn't look up. Krishnakali hesitated, then added, Did you know she broke it? Leslie's head snapped up, his green eyes blazing like fire. What? He barked. She destroyed it. How did you know that? His voice was raw, slicing the room like a dagger. Before Krishnakali could answer, the door creaked open. Audrey appeared, mop and pail in hand, steps unsteady on her heels. Misty-eyed, she approached the bloodied floor, focusing on cleaning every stain. Leslie's unflinching gaze locked on her, and Krishna Kali felt it. The faint, impossible recognition of his old warmth. Not that he'd ever allow it to show. He was every woman's impossible dream and every man's nightmare. Yet Audrey, that poor girl, had somehow walked into his orbit, and Krishna Kali couldn't fathom how. Audrey lowered her eyes, nerves fraying under his stare. Her hands shook violently as she mopped near his table, her breath short and ragged. "Did Mackenzie show you the mug I use for coffee?" Leslie's roar shattered the tense silence. No, she, Audrey stammered, eyes wide with terror. "She didn't." He cut her off before she could continue. "She didn't, sir." "Sir," she whispered. He trailed her from head to heels, resting his elbows on the table and cupping his face. A long, measured exhale escaped him. "Get me the mug with my name on it. You have 4 seconds. 4. Audrey froze, her heart hammered. The one mug with his name, the one she'd broken, was now her target. She stepped out, shutting the door lightly, and her stomach twisted into knots. She rifled through the cupboard, hands trembling as her wide eyes darted over every mug. Nothing. Not a single replacement. He wanted the one she'd shattered. Panic clawed at her chest, heart slamming painfully against ribs, every breath a struggle. She swallowed hard, stepping back into his office, the door clicking shut behind her. Krishna Kali's soft chuckle burned in her ears, humiliation igniting her cheeks. Leslie remained engrossed in his laptop, oblivious to her terror for now. "Just admit you broke it," Krishna Kali muttered. "No use standing like a damn Christmas tree." That drew his attention. He lifted his head, eyes blazing like green coals. "Did you break it?" His roar shook the walls. It was an accident, sir," Audrey quavered. "I said, did you freaking break it?" "Yeah." "Yes, sir." "What the hell?" He slammed the table so hard the floor trembled. "Do you know how much it cost?" Nervously, Audrey shook her head, gaze lowered, trying to survive the storm. "Your entire generation couldn't even dream of affording it." He spat, eyes slicing over her like a scalpel. I'm sorry, sir." "Sorry be damned, you coward." He slammed the table again, the echo hammering through the room. "You're gonna work your damn self off for breaking my goddamn mug. I was gonna fire you, but no, I will make you pay. You'll regret ever stepping foot in here. Now get your ass out of my sight. Damn you." Krishna Kali's smirk widened as Audrey, shoulders hunched, carried mop and pail, humiliation bleeding from her posture. "Are you gonna fire her? She doesn't seem good enough," Krishna Kali asked cautiously. Leslie didn't look up. A low, controlled exhale left him. "Wanted to, but I want to punish her for being a slut," he muttered under his breath, voice deadly serious. "She ain't gonna be my secretary anymore. Too damn idiotic for my liking." Krishna Kali felt a surge of relief. His disdain reassured her. He didn't care for Audrey. He would never. She allowed herself a small, greedy hope. "So how do you intend to punish her?" she pressed. "Leave that to me," Leslie replied, eyes fixed on his laptop. "Once she's replaced, she'll see for herself." Replacement. The word made Krishna Kali uneasy. What if he fell for the new secretary? "So is someone available to replace her?" she asked softly. "Always," he answered, voice flat, unflinching. She hesitated, Leslie. "I'm listening," he said, clipped. "What if I recommend a friend? How about that?" Leslie didn't even acknowledge her. Shada wasn't Audrey. She wouldn't steal his attention. Krishna Kali's jaw tightened. He was hers to win if he ever let her, and no one, not even Audrey, would stand in her way. Audrey's eyes were swollen and puffy from over an hour of relentless crying. Her head throbbed violently, each beat sending dizzying waves through her skull. She felt like a complete loser, awkward, useless, and incapable. Raising her head, a sharp sting shot through her eyes. She brushed at the tears with trembling fingers, only to feel them flow faster, mocking her. A creak from the office door made her jerk violently, cupping her face to hide her ruined expression. "Hey," Mackenzie's voice cut through the tense silence as she entered, slamming the door behind her. A massive pile of documents rested in her hands. "Hey," Audrey croaked, praying her voice didn't betray her trembling. Mackenzie dropped the stack onto Audrey's desk with a thud. The vibration rattled the scattered papers. "Work begins," Mackenzie barked. "All these?" Audrey asked, dread curling in her stomach. "Yup, there's more in my office, but I don't want to drown you yet," Mackenzie said, arching a brow. Audrey's lips trembled. "But this is already drowning me." Mackenzie scoffed, sharp and cold. "You can either quit now, Audrey, or get your ass moving. Take your pick." Audrey nodded weakly. "Damn, this is cruel," she thought. "You must wrap this up before 3:30 and get it to the boss," Mackenzie said, folding her arms like a general surveying the battlefield. Audrey felt her chest tighten. 3:30, she had barely started. "You'll need to be brisk. Maybe, just maybe, you'll impress him enough to change his mind about kicking you out," Mackenzie added, her tone matter-of-fact. "Impress him," Audrey's voice wavered. "Do you think that'll even work?" Mackenzie shrugged, eyes glinting with pragmatic cruelty. "Don't hold your breath. Impressing him has never worked for anyone." Audrey swallowed, her throat dry, tempted to confess the mug incident and her punishment. But she kept quiet, heart hammering. "What does the boss punishment feel like?" she asked hesitantly. Mackenzie blinked. "What do you mean?" "Never mind," Audrey waved it off, but Mackenzie's gaze lingered, curious. "Whatever," Mackenzie finally said. "Oh, and you'll get him lunch too." Audrey froze, her pulse hit triple speed. "Don't panic," Mackenzie rolled her eyes. "One thing about Leslie, he does take his secretaries to lunch." Audrey blinked, disbelief written across her face. "Yup, but who knows about you? He might or he might not. Or," Mackenzie flicked her fingers, "you might have to fetch it yourself." Audrey felt the walls closing in. Cruel world, this is the real deal, she thought. "Once it hits 1:30, go ask if he's ready for lunch," Mackenzie instructed with a wink. "Take it easy, good luck." Audrey bobbed weakly, watching Mackenzie leave. Silence wrapped around her like a vice. She stared at the monstrous pile of documents. 3:30. Before 3:30, panic pulsed through her veins. Hands shaking, she grabbed her laptop, pulled out her phone from her purse and gasped. "It's already noon." Her fingers flew over the keyboard as she tried to focus. Her mind darted to Krishna Kali. Wasn't it about time she left? And Leslie takes his secretary out for lunch. Audrey felt both panic and longing. She needed to sit by his side, but after ruining his mug, and with Krishna Kali lurking, impossible. Meanwhile, Krishna Kali's eyes glinted with restrained malice. "No way Audrey's getting a lunch with him. Not while I'm here. That brat's up to something, trying to catch his attention again," she mused, her gut twisting with jealousy. Audrey's heels clicked softly against the floor as she emerged a few minutes later, closing the door quietly. She stopped a few feet from Leslie's table, frozen under the weight of his gaze, which seemed to pierce straight through her. Krishna Kali's eyes roamed her body, calculating, judging, unable to resist the thrill of Audrey's unease. Checking her wristwatch, Krishna Kali noticed it was 1:55. "It's lunchtime," she announced casually as Leslie ended his call. Audrey stiffened. "That's exactly what I wanted to say," she thought, exasperated. "Is she reading my mind?" "Oops," Audrey murmured softly. "That's what I wanted to tell you, sir." "You may excuse me," Leslie said coldly. Audrey's chest tightened. Yes, sir," she whispered, voice low, heart hammering. Krishna Kali's curiosity sharpened. "Are you taking her with you for lunch?" she asked, but Leslie ignored her entirely. He rose, brushing off his hands with deliberate control, his hair falling perfectly around his rugged face. Every movement radiated authority and lethal masculinity. Krishna Kali's pulse raced. She couldn't tear her gaze away from the silhouette of his broad shoulders, the curve of his chest beneath the fitted shirt. Hunger surged through her veins, dangerous and unrestrained. She ached to touch him, yet dared not. Leslie grabbed his phone and strode past without a word, not even a "let's go." Krishna Kali's eyes followed him, mind reeling. Is he taking Audrey? Her jaw tightened. No, never, not that girl. Something about her gives me chills. Audrey's heartbeat slammed against her ribs, anticipation mixing with terror. She dared not speak, dared not breathe too loudly. Her chance to impress or survive hung in the balance. The air between them was thick, heavy with tension, unspoken challenges, and the lethal weight of Leslie's presence. In that moment, Audrey understood. Surviving today meant more than just finishing paperwork. It meant navigating a storm far deadlier than any she'd ever known.